Today's TrueFire Artist Spotlight is Robben Ford. Named one of the 100 greatest guitarists of the 20th century by Musician Magazine and recipient of Guitar Player Magazine's Lifetime Achievement Legend Award, Robben Ford's innovative soulful musicality triggered a revolution in electric blues guitar styling. Today, we'd like to feature 3 free lessons from Robben's TrueFire course, Blues Revolution.
So that was the first sophisticated chord that I learned. Very common in the blues. But I wanted to know more. So I started looking for that information. And one of the chords that popped up right away that I became fascinated with and found very useful is the 13th chord. Now here's A13. Now the way the voicing was portrayed in the book that I got was like this. This is the way a jazz player would play that chord. Now my wrist is very uncomfortable that way. And so I'm kind of the guitar strangler type, you know, like this. I play the guitar this way. I use the thumb. It allows me to get around the guitar a little better. So again, how you play it, it needs to be comfortable for you. But this chord, A13, that's another way to play it. But it leaves that string open here, right, to be hit. You can't really strum that chord. Well, I use my fingers a lot, so I'm just playing it with my fingers. So I've really learned, you know, how to not hit things I don't want to hear, how to keep strings from ringing. Nobody showed me how to do it, and I always have to say, you know, you do it however you can do it. Just learn how to do it. Just do it. Just make them not ring. That's my teaching on that subject. So, A13. Now there's a jazz chord for you, you know. And in the context of the blues, it's called A13, by the way. You know, it's 13th tone above the tonic or the root, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, right? It also indicates if you say A13, that you just have to know that that means with a flatted 7th, right? So if you play an A major scale, the 7th is called a major 7th, and it's G sharp. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, octave, or 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And that's the end of the line. There's no 14th or 15th, so that's as far as you have to go with the number thing, you know? So A13, immediately you should know, flatted 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So this chord is composed of the root, in this case A, flatted 7th, the 3rd, and the 13th. This would also be called a 10th because it's an octave above the 3rd. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 7th, 10th, 13th. This is a little theory lesson here, and it really should clear up a lot of things. If you don't already know this, that's basically, you know, when someone talks about the 3rd of the chord, the 9th of the chord. Well, if it doesn't say major 9, and that's indicated often by a triangle on paper or a large M or MAJ, major. If it doesn't say major 9, then it's going to be a 7th chord, a flatted 7th chord. So A9 is going to have a flatted 7th in it. That's the 9th. There's that 9 chord. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this chord here, A13. So there's the ninth chord, right? Which we know and use the heck out of in the blues. So this is a nice little way to get there instead of just playing. Right? You can go something like that. So you have a nice little kind of melodic, and I always think of playing chords in this way, sort of like a big band kind of a sound. I instantly am hearing Count Basie or Stan Kenton Orchestra or something. Right there. So A13, and I've got the root on top here. The 13th, now you can imagine if we said, okay, A flat 13. Well, flat the 13th degree. There you go. Simple as that. A13, A flat 13. Now that's the ninth, up an octave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's A9 flat, A flat 13, add 9. That's what I would call that chord. I'm not sure what anyone else would call it. Might be A9 flat 13, but I don't know. The ninth in this case is above the 13th, so I would call it A13, A flat 13, add 9. Okay, how about raised 9 or plus 9? That's up a half step. So we have A flat 13 plus 9. Like that. So it's a nice little way to get, from the 1 chord to the 4 chord of the blues, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That's a nice little shout chorus thing there. I just played. Just take that 13 chord, move it up a half step, and put the 9th on top. That would be 9th on top of the 13 chord here. So, another nice little thing to understand is if you play a 13th chord like this in key of A, move it up a half step, put an E in the root. This is E raised 9, which is the Jimi Hendrix chord. Foxy Lady, right? That's another way of voicing that chord, which is the way he's playing it. Actually, he's probably doing this. Same thing. So, interestingly, and this will prove the case, as we go, you'll see more and more, 1 chord voicing, if you put a different root under it, turns it into an entirely different chord. It has a whole different quality to it, and it's serving a completely different function. Now this is also, right, of course, if you just moved A13 up a half step, it would just be B flat 13, right? But if you put an E in the root, it's E plus 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Plus means raised, half step up. And that's a very classic little vamp there. Now, what I was doing right there was just playing. See, don't ever feel locked into something that you learn. You can have something that you've learned, and you can just take a piece of that and add it to something else that you've learned, you know? So like, as an example right here, I don't have to do this every time. If I'm playing a vamp like that, what I'm playing there, it's just a standard A7 chord voicing, just boiled down to the 7th, 3rd, and 5th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? There's the octave. You could call that the 10th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But we're going to call it the 3rd, even though the 7th is below it, right? And the 5th above. So I like that. For me, there's a little melody in there. Ba, 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 beep, ba. So right, da da, ba da. So I've got a little melodic theme going in there, and I'm using, you know, some of that first concept, but I'm also expanding it using the 7th chord. There's another little theme, right? Da 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 da. And I'm bringing in the raised 9, and in this case, flat 13 now. See what? Up a half step, put the B flat in the root, B flat 13 with the 9th on top. We put the E in the root. It's E raised 9, which that would be E9 or E13 add 9, flat 9. So the language, don't let it get confusing, you know. I'll try not to make it confusing. But, you know, it takes a while to digest all this information, I know. But nonetheless, this is basically the language of music, and it's how you put the whole thing together. So there's some nice examples, I think, of the use of some of the jazz chords that I learned. Developing a guitar solo when you're improvising has actual craft to it, and there is thought to developing a guitar solo. You know, it's not just necessarily winging it. And I really hope that it's not just playing licks. That's really not anywhere near developing a guitar solo. It's nice to have licks to play, but what do you do with them, right? I mean, I think this is kind of a common question. What do you do with the information? What do you do with the knowledge that you have? So the things that I learned working with people who were far more developed than myself, in particular a pianist named Roger Kellaway and a saxophonist named Tom Scott. I met and worked with these two guys working with Joni Mitchell a long time ago. Both these guys are composers for television and film, just great improvisers and, you know, and great jazz players. I learned so much from these guys just hanging around and having conversations about music. And some of the things that I picked up, in fact, most of the things that I picked up, it's basically kind of simplistic, you know. It's really little things that encourage you to kind of find your own voice, you know, little encouragements. And these things are as simple as, you know, if someone's playing fast, then you play slow, you know. Little things like that, you know. If somebody's playing high, you play low. Those are things that kind of apply to more supporting another artist, you know, who's playing behind somebody. But whenever I start playing, I almost never start with something fast. I always start with something I kind of ease into it, you know. I play something melodic or something long, you know, something slow, and work, you know, maybe ramp up to playing faster things or higher things or louder things, you know. So dynamics, the speed of which you play something, the register in which you play something. These are the things that we're talking about here, and they're in nature, you know. So you're kind of accessing, you know, these things in yourself, like the dynamic of what it is to take a guitar solo, you know, because it's an experience, it's a living experience. You're doing something. Well, how would you do it? You know, would you go out there and just start running as fast as you could, or would you maybe jog for a while and bring your pace up? You know, that kind of natural quality. And it also is it's important for the listener, like you're engaging the listener in this way, you know? Does a listener want to just be barraged, you know, or do they want to be more seduced, you know? You bring them in with what you play. So also like little things like if I were to play a phrase, let's see, I'll just go for it here a little bit. Something as simple as that, right? I mean, that's really talking, you know. I don't consider certainly things like that, they are not riffs. Those aren't guitar riffs, you know. It's more like you're saying something, you know. And the first time I played it, something like that, then I played the next note higher, right? And then a little quicker in there, you know? So right there, I played a phrase kind of slow. Then I played the phrase a second time, but hit a note a little higher up as an accentuation, you know? And then played a few more notes in between. But my starting point, you know, and my ending point were the same, right? And I can't remember which is which, but there's some, like diminution. I think diminution is actually shrinking a phrase, which would wind up making it faster, right? You're cramming those same notes into a smaller space, so you have to play them quicker, right? So that kind of way of working with virtually the same information, you know, like very simple. I'm just playing the blues, right? Pentatonic. Flatted fifth, of course. We have to almost include the flatted fifth in the pentatonic scale. It's going to have to be the pentatonic plus scale. Something like that, because you always use the flatted fifth in the blues. You're just going to do it, you know. So there's a sense of build, right? But I didn't play like a whole bunch of other stuff. We're using the same 5 tones within the same octave, you know. And the way we're making it interesting is by making little shifts, you know. They're kind of energetic shifts, right? It's kind of like it ramps up. Do-da-da-do-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You know, that's like, okay, now we're commanding attention a little bit more. First phrase is kind of just bringing you in. The second phrase is like going, boom, you know, capturing the person that you're playing for, because you're playing for somebody. So you're talking to somebody, you know. And this is definitely the way I work. And so we played those 2 phrases. Let's see. Now I just went up, right? Going up, that, again, that's sort of, you know, magnetizing the situation and a little bit more strong, you know? So, up, up again, and then kind of easing back down, Again, this is, an all pentatonic scale, again, including the flatted fifth, too. We're playing the blues here. But what's happening is this energetic thing, this working with the relationship that you're having with the person you're playing for, You could be playing for yourself and have the same experience, It doesn't have to be necessarily for someone else. But the point is, there's an emotional engagement with whatever you're doing on your instrument. It's not a physical exercise. It's not even a harmonic exercise. We're just taking plain talk. The pentatonic scale, it's just plain talk, That's just speaking in simple terms. So you work with it in an energetic way. So if you play something one tempo, a little faster, okay, it's an energetic thing that's happening there. Higher, bring it back down. It's like, wow, the thing took off and then it goes down like this, and nice gentle landing, This is how I think and play all the time. And, even if something is loud and really jamming around you, you can still just kind of sail through that thing, And that in itself is an act of, working with the energies. Everybody's playing fast, so you just kind of sail over the top of it, So this beautiful picture is being painted, right? And it's 5 notes. Still just the pentatonic scale. You're just working with it in a communication kind of a way, in an emotional way. So what I did there was play virtually the same thing on each chord, rhythmically, the same thing on each chord, and pretty much every time I'd play that chord, it would be the same voicing. So there's, a consistency that runs through the whole thing for each 12 bars, and I tried to change it up a little bit with each 12-bar progression. So I think it started with a basic 9 chord. Something like that, right? So that is, we call that a 9 chord. It's got the 3rd in the root here, 7th of A here. That would be the 9th. This is the 5th. And I like hearing that root on top. Normally, if I hear most people play, they'll play the 9 chord. Without that. For me, it just gives it a little more punch. It's big, big full chord like that. And then doing this on the 4 chord, the D9, and on the E9. Then I kind of played a riffy thing. In fact, I think the first time I played Now that's one thing you can do in blues playing, from a 5 chord to a 4 chord. It's basically the same thing, minor third instead of. It's just a convenient little thing on the guitar, on the A7, and then you just play it minor here on the 4 chord. Now, I wouldn't hesitate to do it again on the 5 chord. But it kind of works, But I think in the example, I played it up there on the E chord. And like that on the D chord. virtually the same lick, just in a different position on the guitar, right? So this developed out of, well, now you have to do it in the key of A, so you're fingering everything a little bit differently, a little more effort involved, but it's the same country blues. I also played something like this. Now this is A13. So the 13th is right here. One. The 6th and the 13th are the same thing, an octave apart. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. If I'm playing it here, there would be your A13, but we're playing a different voicing and we're bringing the 13th down to here. 9th is there, and again, I'm playing the 5th on top. 7th, 3rd, 6th or 13th, 9th, 5th. And then you notice those chord voicings are pretty close to each other. So these chords voicings being very close together is also a good thing. Keeping your movement kind of concise, you know? You're not playing this here and that up there or down there. You keep everything kind of as close to each other as possible. Like that. And I think I also played so it's the same thing we kind of looked at down here, right? Up to A. Now we're in the key of A. Going to the 4 chord here as D. You can play the same thing. The strings are so light, it's a little hard to dig in there, so you have to kind of adjust your technique a little bit and hit the strings not quite so hard. That was pretty hard. Also a nice thing. 3rd in the root.